Hi guys. In the video ahead, I'm gonna walk through examples of how I'm optimizing real websites. But if you want the summary, then just go to the links in the description where I walk through all the tools. And just keep in mind, images, most important thing, make sure you crop them, compress them, and make sure you have efficient file formats. And then after that, if you still have issues, then the thing that you want to search up is how do I defer my JavaScript and how do I lazy load my images. That's the summary, and if you want to still keep going, you can look through the examples to come.
The simplest ways to speed up your website performance. We're going to look at a type dream website, a Notion site, a static website, and then some WordPress theme as examples of how you go about this. The first thing that you have to do, regardless of which kind of website you're using, is you need to figure out how bad is the problem, if there is a problem. The way that you can do this, um, they range from more detailed to less detailed. The simplest way you could do it is just take, the URL of your site, go to a private window, and just reload it again. See how long, how long it takes. This is kind of a rudimentary method, but you could try it. A better way to do it is, regardless of what kind of website you have, go to Google PageSpeed Insights. You can search this up, PageSpeed Insights, and you'll see the first link there. What you can do in PageSpeed Insights is, you can take the URL of your site, paste it in here. It will make a report for you with the simplest ways that you can optimize your website on both mobile and desktop. There are many other tools available besides PageSpeed Insights. Some that I like are GT Metrics. This one is a lot more detailed, but it's more so for developers, like actual programmers. So if you're looking for more detail, GT Metrics, you can go here. There's also Debug Bear. This one also offers you that level of detail. It lets you put in the website link and it will show you exactly what it saw on the test. How long did it take to get the website to be interactive. Some key metrics to be aware of. It will explain them for you. You can hover on each of them. So Debug Bear, that's also a good resource. But for the simple-minded among us, let's just stick with Google for now. The most common type of issue that you're going to see is going to be with images. Images take up the most resources on any website. In this case, the images aren't even that bad, 180 kilobytes. I have seen, and as we will soon see, there are many pages that have megabytes of images, and the worst one I ever worked on loaded 70 megabytes of images, which is just not good at all. So it will tell you, how do you go about properly sizing images. You can click on the learn more links and it's gonna explain everything for you. So PageSpeed Insights, that's the first place you should go to check out what is needed. So in this case, when we're on TypeDream, what we can see PageSpeed Insights tells us that, we're mostly good, this performance, it's not too bad, especially on desktop. Things are very nice, it's very fast. So this is the most common thing that you might expect with custom website builders like Wix or Squarespace. TypeDream is more of a simpler one, so especially here we can expect that. So if you're looking for a fast website, this might be a good option to go with. Get a custom dedicated website building tool that will help you not have too much to worry about. When you are using such tools, the biggest thing that you do have to worry about is making sure that the images are the right size. For that, you can use a website called Burme, bulk image, that thing. I will leave all these links in the description. But what you want to do is you want to estimate like how big are the images actually going to be when they display on a page, and then only crop them to have that width and that height. I'll show you how to do that as we move on to the next side, because this one's pretty good. It's pretty optimized. This one, on the other hand, this Notion site, is an example of how you don't want to create your websites. The reason is that Notion is not built for making websites. It's built for another purpose. And so, if I try to run this on even PageSpeed Insights, we're going to have a lot of issues come up. The first thing is PageSpeed Insights, it's gonna struggle to even identify what the problems on this page are, because the page is so different from websites it's used to. So because of this, I'm going to show you how you can figure out for your particular site, regardless of what this thing says, what the accurate real-time load times you can expect are. So here everything seems to be fine, 0.3 seconds. You're going to see that is not the case at all. Let me show you how. So let's say you go to PageSpeed Insights or another one of those tools, you get back a result that doesn't seem to look right. You can see this doesn't seem to look like this. What you can do is right click and then click inspect. It's gonna work on any browser you're on, Firefox, Edge, Windows, Chrome, whatever. So when you do this, go to this tab called Network. You see, there's a lot less clutter. It's already looking less scary. Make sure you click on this Disable Cache option. What that's going to do is make sure you see what the website is like when it's loading for someone who's never visited before, and then click Reload. So as you can see, it's not at all 0.3 seconds. This thing will show you what the accurate real-time results are that you can expect. And you can see, you can see how long the images especially take to load. So let me expand this over here. The information this gives you, this is a very complicated table, but what you can do is you can click on this transferred column, and it will tell you what are the most chunky, what are the longest, what are the largest resources that your website has to load. You can see this is an image, this is an image, over here, image, 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 image. So images are the big thing we have to optimize. Let's say we decide to take a look, which is this exact image that we are worried about. Well, what we can do is oftentimes you'll be able to hover over these images and see where they're used. And if you're having issues doing that, what you can do is resize this again. Click on this little icon on the top left corner of the window that pops up. When you click on it, you can hover over the different images and see which URLs are they being loaded from. So using this method, you can kind of triangulate, which images exactly are the ones that are presenting issues. So let me go back here to the debugger column here on the network. So when you take a look at these different images, you see you can hover over, figure out what the issues are. How do you go about now fixing issues once you've detected them? Whether it's from, this very custom option or some of these issues, you realized you have some issues. Well, if you're using one of these, just click on the links. It will tell you, exactly what do you do. So for instance, you click on the learn more and it will tell you what do you need to do. In the case of images, the most common type of optimization you're going to make is, I'll just give you some simple rules. The first simple rule is never use PNG. Okay? If you ever consider using PNG, try switching to webp files, that's WEBP, or try using SVG files. Apart from that, you should be pretty good in terms of file formats. So don't use GIFs, turn those into webp files, and you can search up GIF to webp converter and use any one of these converters to create the images you want to put on a page. Same thing with PNG, you can turn it into a WebP file. You can not turn it into an SVG file. Unfortunately, you have to keep SVG files if you want to use them. But you can turn them into WebP or you can turn them into JPEGs. So either one of these will give you better results. The reason is that when it comes to PNGs, they are very good for images that have very few colors. So things like this logo, you see, it's just black and white. So that might be good for a PNG, but basically everything else stick to JPEGs, WebP, and in the case of GIFs, if you're trying to go from GIFs to something else, you can also try MP4s, so actual videos instead of the GIFs. So one of the websites I like is any of these, PNG to PDF, PNG to JPEG, PNG to this, PNG to that. If you go on any of these websites, I really like that they're pretty simple to use, so you can just search up the URLs. Also, related ones, they have the same look and feel, are the compress websites ones. So you have like compress PNG, compress JPEG, and so on. So you can use those as well to be able to speed up your website. I'll show you one example of how to do this so that it's not just all abstract. So let's say I detected this Unsplash image was the issue. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to this Unsplash image, I'm gonna save this image, or maybe I can even drag it over. So the first thing I want to do is check what the type of the image is. So let's save this, and it's a JPEG. So that's the first step done. We don't need to convert a PNG to a JPEG. It's already a JPEG. So we leave that. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to use Burmy to resize our image. So let me open this up over here. So I don't know if you saw in the menu, the image, when I hover it, it shows me that it's 3600 by 2400 pixels. That is way too big. Most websites, you're only going to need maximum an image width of 1800 pixels, and that's really high. One of the things that tools like WordPress or TypeDream will do for you is when you upload an image, they will create multiple sizes of an image so that you don't have to worry. But in this case, let's say you are building like a Notion site or a static website, the way that you can do this is, okay, I only need like a banner region. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna manually clip that myself. So let's say the width is gonna be 1800 and the height I just want to be like 300. I want a very long narrow slice, just like on the website you see here. So I am taking this image, I'm taking the section I want, let's make it 400 pixels high. Here we are. Once I've adjusted the crop region where I want, I can save the file. Remember, on the original application, it loaded 2.85 megabytes of the image. Well, it doesn't show me right now, but whatever. So it did that. You can now see it went from 2.7 megabytes to 208 kilobytes. So that's over 10 times file size reduction. This is what you want to do with all the pages or all the images on your page. This one, and what you're also going to see is all of these emojis, they're unfortunately on Notion also loaded via images. Just goes to show that you shouldn't be using Notion sites if you care about speed. So this is the same kind of thing I did on my websites, checked which images are being loaded, made sure to convert them from PNG to other more friendly formats such as JPEG, SVG, WebP, or if I'm using GIFs, convert those to WebP or MP4. After I've done the conversions, I go to Burmy, resize the images. I can compress the JPEGs if I wanted to. So let's say I wanted to keep compressing the image I had that was 212 kilobytes. I could try to do it on here. I would find that I would need to adjust the quality down quite a bit after Burmy. because Burmy already does a pretty good job of compression, but you can see that I can, still reduce the file size by half. So this is the key process you need to be doing if you're ever making your own websites on platforms like these. That's what I did for every image that you see on this page. So now that you've taken care of images, what other challenges might come up? Well, after you go through and you really have done every single image that is being loaded, which is quite a lot of images, I'm gonna reload and show you again. After you've done that, usually you have a pretty good website speed. However, if you're working on a big website like a company is, you're gonna find that there's still a bunch of issues. And the most common culprit after the images tends to be JavaScript files. You can see here Notion is especially inefficient with its JavaScript files. You have like 2 megabyte files being loaded, which is just unheard of. I think my website in total loads 2 megabytes, not just like for one resource, for everything. But let's say you're lucky, you're using something like a a WordPress theme. What you can do is for your WordPress theme, before you buy it, go to the demos page. Like actually take a look at how quick they are. So let's say I click on this demo. The good thing is it loads pretty quickly, but what you'll notice is these images pop in as I scroll. This kind of optimization, it kind of has to be done by hand, and I can show you a little bit how to do it on WordPress or Shopify or static sites, basically platforms where you can go and edit the HTML code yourself. But the important thing is, I would suggest that if you're really trying to just get simple websites going, just take a look at the template you're using ahead of time. Like, let's say I take this design and then run it through some kind of PageSpeed Insights website. It could be this, it could be GTmetrix, the other things that I've said. And this will help you make sure you make the right decision before you even buy something, so that you're not left with a bunch of optimizations to do later. Now, let's say you are in an unlucky position, you already spent the money on the theme and now you don't know how to change things. What you can do on both WordPress and static sites is that you can go and manually edit HTML. This is gonna not be very friendly, I can guarantee you that, but it's possible. And the way that you might go about it is, again, click on this little icon on the top left and then hover over the parts that you think need changing. So let's say you think an image needs changing, then you can hover over the image and then dig through here until you find an image. You can also click here and then Control F, image. You see? And you can go through like the different search results until you find what you're looking for. The same can be said of scripts. Scripts are JavaScripts. These are the code that is running behind a website. So you can Control F on here and then search up script and then go through the different matches that you might get, or maybe fail to get in my case. Whenever you find an image, what you want to do is, well, you'll need to edit the code. Here I'm not editing any code, I'm just making temporary modifications, but you'll need to be able to access the code so that after each image you can put something called lazy loading. You just specify loading equals lazy, and you can see I've temporarily added this little thing here, loading equals lazy. That's called an HTML attribute. It just means a setting. What lazy loading for your images does is what you saw with this website. The image doesn't load until I scroll near it. So it's not trying to get all of the images to load at the beginning, holding up your websites. You can do a similar thing with your JavaScript files. So let's say you found the script somewhere over here. You see I have a script tag. What you could do is, again, you'd need to edit your code, not just like make temporary changes like I'm doing here. You put a attribute in the script, again, a setting in your HTML that says defer. What the defer attribute does is it says, show me the stuff on the page first, show me the visuals, and then we will worry about running the code. So that is a last resort. I would highly advise you, before you get its theme, run it through PageSpeed Insight so that you can avoid that kind of very detail-oriented work. So as a summary, what you want to do on any website, any platform, is make sure that the images, most important thing, are cropped to the right size, converted to an efficient file format, compressed, and then you upload them. And then if you still have issues, then make sure to add lazy loading and defer attributes on your scripts and on your images, which is just a way of saying, hey, show me what's on the page first and then worry about, what comes later as I get to it. So I'm gonna put all these links that I talked about in the description, and I hope that gets you started on optimizing your website.